was interesting was Tony did not really know who we were, Freedom's Phoenix and the people that we knew. When he brought in the permaculture guys and the tree guys and the Oath Keeper guys and the Tea Party people and the Republican guys, all these people come in, they started overlapping from the left and the right. What happened is that he didn't realize that we knew all these guys. We were talking to people on both sides and could see the knitting that was happening. And it was like a gun show without guns. But what I saw developing was that you had, well, of course, the media would come out, and what do they do with the camera? They got to go, where's the camouflage? Hey, somebody, ooh, a camouflage backpack. They got to look, ooh, a gas mask. I mean, that's all they shut, So I'm just like, screw them, I'm so done with media. The mainstream media, the media is so last century, okay? So what developed from that was a lot of relationships. We had our, a lot of conversations. We had our magazine covers there and banners and everything, and we didn't put the dome in because the fire marshal was too big for the space into something. So we didn't put it up. This time at the State Fairground, they asked that we bring the dome. So these are two domes that are put together, called the Aqua Dome, the aquaponics system and so on. But we have another one that we did before these, our first one, that's just kind of loosely done. It looks cool, and we take it to festivals and such. So we go, and we're all over the country. Like we were in New Hampshire, where they were, what's your son's name? I'm sorry.
Bryson.
Bryson was there doing the 4409, being a reporter, going around and taking interviews and stuff and everything. Awesome, whole next generation. Now, Chris Campbell and his son Bryson, their family's going to be moving to Houston. We're going to, it's like, well, that sucks because they're one of us getting ready and preparing and learning how to, a lot of the stuff that we emphasize. But they're going to Houston to spread it, So, and Houston has a lot of this going on already. So, Houston is different. I don't know if you know this. Houston does not have zoning, okay? What they do is it's some kind of a deed restriction or something that goes with the property. Now, there is no permission slips, for stuff. And when we use examples, they go to libertarians, well, that never happens. How would you do that without that? I go, Houston, Sun City, rural metro. There's all kinds of examples. But people got these roadblocks in their head. Well, somebody that doesn't have a roadblock, they're going to Houston, we're going to evangelize Houston. Plus, I know a bunch of people in Houston because who lives near there? Ron Paul. So I go to Houston, it's a hard pay. So Chris gets hooked up with them, we have another conduit. That's very cool. The Prepper Fest goes, the night they had a party, and they go, well, Ernie, I don't know, Stuart Roads, Oath Keepers, do you think you guys could get along and all that kind of stuff and everything? Well, they don't know that we were good friends. They don't know that Stuart Rhodes is really an anarchist. He's like, God, you're still voting to me. So, at least he understands, So, Stuart Rhodes will be there again this year, along with, I think Mac is coming too. But, so Tony started to realize that there was a much larger, wider front on this preparedness mentality of not really so much prepare as a culture as much as it was prepare as a self-sustaining, taking responsibility for yourself, being healthier kind of thing that libertarians are big into already. That's kind of our whole thing is not be dependent on different systems or government programs, all this other stuff. And that just naturally, goes into this. Certainly here in Arizona, the Mormon, I got 2 years or something. So this is part of our culture, which is what I really emphasize is culture. It's not who you vote for, who's voting, or who's running, or any of that stuff. It is culture. So what I wanted to do is give you some updates on some people. Now we have Mike Holland, right? Mike Holland, you guys probably remember him, doctor here in the valley. He decides to move to Wyoming, going to be free and whatever. And somebody said, I need an Arizona break from the wind. All right. So we're going to give him 5 10 minutes to kind of give you an update on what he's been doing, because he was really active in a lot of local politics here and making sure everybody understood what's up, and then trying to live it. Going up there, we'll see what he's learned. Alan Corwin will have at least 5 minutes of something to say, so we'll do that and get caught up on there. But I tell you, it's the one thing, and we'll certainly give the bulk of the time to Steve. But I want you to understand, in this last month, I've spoken in Southern California and in Pennsylvania, and I leave to go. I go to the Texas Bitcoin Conference next week. Pat goes like this. He goes, "Oh yeah, so what about Bitcoin? I heard Bitcoin's, the thing is kind of Bitcoin, and you get lost in the news. It's bad on Bitcoin."
Is that the term I used? Or yeah.
Something like that. So my thing is, I'm sitting down going, it's obvious you don't understand what Bitcoin is. I'm going to tell you a story so you see what's going on. Some of you went to the Freedom Summit. How many of you went to the Freedom Summit? We had, 4, 5, 6 of you at the Freedom Summit. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I can't believe Gary and Murda did like 93.7% of all the speeches for 2.5 days. Oh my God, I could barely hang. But it was on the issue of Bitcoin. We had Patrick Byrne, which is the CEO of Overstock.com. Right now, he has spent over $20 million in his lawsuit against the SEC and Goldman Sachs. Okay. He is not letting this go. Boy's got some money. He comes out on my show a month and a half ago, and I talked to him. We became friends like years ago during this naked short selling thing, and he gets out. He's libertarian. I get it. But what happened was he came on and he heard the Freedom Summit commercial, and he goes, "Hey, how come you didn't call me?" And I just had Richard Grove Tragedy and Hope had to cancel because he was going moving his facility in New York. And I go, "You know what? We come back on air and you say I'm speaking, come, you're committed, done." And he goes, "I'm coming." I go, "Done." Yay! Because what he did, he just announced on my show. First time he announced, he goes, "We at Overstock.com are doing 2 things this week." Well, 3 things. We found out later. 1, we're matching all book prices with Amazon. And 2, we're taking Bitcoin. Largest retailer in the world just started taking Bitcoin. And they go, "What the hell just happened?" All right? The 3rd thing, he was paying his bonuses to his employees in Bitcoin. He goes, "Hey, you want to convert them over and do whatever, peace out. But I take this Bitcoin." Now, what does government do? They don't want to recognize Bitcoin. They're like, no. The Bitcoin's that's funny money. We don't got. Okay, then what do you care? We're trading Pokemon cards. What do you care? Okay. So all of a sudden, this starts becoming a thing. It's a lot of money. There's transactions going. It's totally off of the grid. The big complaint that we have is, how do you know it works? How do you know? Oh, it's great encryption, and it's wonderful, and I'm a coder, and it's open source, and I go, yeah, blah, blah, blah. How do you know? I've had the guys on the show from the beginning for years as this was growing. I have been buying Bitcoin since they were $4, and they went up to high as $1,500 or something. Now they're about $600 or something like that. This has been the battle that's going on behind the scenes. How many of you have not heard the word Bitcoin? I watched last night, there's a new show called Almost Human. It's in 2048. It's a cop show where the partner's this robot, and they blah, blah, blah. Twice in that show, they mentioned Bitcoin. Oh, yeah, he was across from the Bitcoin exchange. And I go, here we go, So I know it's on the government's radar screen. And what they do? It became very good currency because it's anonymous. You don't know who. It's just it's a file encrypted that goes in, and okay, I got it. Now you don't got it. Nobody knows who had it and who it was that gave it to me, and I got it. Which one, where to go, and they don't know. Well, how they use that is they go what they call the deep web. A lot of you guys do not know that you have the surface of the ocean right here. This is the World Wide Web. You got a little peak of the iceberg. 95% of the traffic on the internet is in the deep web. They use what's called BitTorrent. A lot of that was created by the Navy as an intelligence communication, so 007 can communicate, and it's encrypted and nobody knows what. Well, if you got such high-level encryption, what can you do with that? Well, you can, encrypt that piece of a blockchain that everybody has. People don't understand how Bitcoin works. I'm going to give me 10 minutes here, I'm going to explain it to you, and you'll have a rough understanding. In the early 90s, there was a professor, I can't remember, Stanford or whatever, his name was Phil Zimmerman, and he went on a phone modem at some, payphone, and he loaded up to a bulletin board. Remember the internet used to be BBSs. How many of you guys remember that? Okay. The bulletin board service was one here in Arizona at Cottonwood called Paul Revere Net. You guys remember that? And what it was is that you would have upload your emails to his server, which is his freaking computer sitting underneath his desk, and people would call in on their modems, and you would upload email and download email. I don't know, a couple times a day, once a day, every 5 minutes. I mean, it's just, you would do this. Well, that's how it worked. It was instead of like, snail mail would take days, email, like do it every day in the afternoon or something. You'd read stuff, respond, put it up, and when you hit the modem, it would send all your sends and download all the responses. Well, now we do that every 5 seconds, but it used to be it's like every day. Well, the bulletin board service, that was the capability of totally outside the internet. If you had a phone connection, the internet was somebody's computer. Well, then when the World Wide Web started getting going, and the AltNet was, we used to use that, and then it's a long story, but it started changing. You did what they call ISP, Internet Service Providers. ISP here in the Valley, I remember the first ones that we were on was indirect.com. Somebody got us, my first email was safe, Second Amendment is for everyone, safe at indirect.com. That was our first email. But then they got bought and sold 14 zillion times, where now it's all, freaking AT&T or something. Okay? So it kept consolidating the flow of information. You always want to get it into a central Facebook. And we control this thing, okay? So I'm going, all right, I can see where this is going. There's another one called OnRamp that some of us used and so on. Now, OnRamp was in the back room, a bunch of modems, in the back room of a gun store in Glendale. It was just, libertarian guys. It's always these damn libertarians, okay? So we understood what was happening. Mike Duggar, Libertarian State Chair of the Libertarian Party in the 90s and a postal carrier, he would get awards for top 5, websites on the planet, and it's all great and wonderful. We were using the web for all our stuff back in the mid-90s. In 1995, it was the race for Phoenix mayoral and city council races. I remember it was the Arizona Breakfast Club. You had Felda Williams running for Phoenix mayor. You had, whatever his jerk name was, I can't remember. And then, I don't know if it was Paul Johnson or another guy. No, Terry, yeah, those guys. They did those also. So you had Gary Fallon, the Libertarian, and the big issue at the Breakfast Club was what? Gay marriage.
This
so
is a description of Bitcoin?
You're not allowed to talk, Alan. So, you have to go over there. But what happened is that you had the question was gay marriage. Well, here's the libertarian going, hey man, I don't want the government involved in heterosexual marriage. Whoa, where did that even come from? And where did it go? On web pages that we had, front page of the Valley Safety B section in Arizona Republic, oh my goodness, the first cyber candidate. Got all kinds of kudos and so on, because every one of his positions, like libertarians are, exactly this is what we think about that. Well, it was available, the World Wide Web just started getting going, and people in browsers, Netscape. A lot of people, Firefox, the free web browser of Firefox was built on Netscape. Netscape kind of went down the tubes. That's when they did antitrust suit, Hatch in Utah. Netscape was there, went after Microsoft. You're not allowed to embed your browser in the operating system, blah, 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 blah. And what happened? All of a sudden, Netscape got some kid, literally a teenager in New Zealand, took Netscape and made Firefox out of it. And it went to Mozilla Foundation, it's free, and then you got Thunderbird and all this encryption. So they were trying to create an open source, they can't screw with you, we can see what's going on kind of thing back in the, the 90s, and it goes up through here. So the battle has been between centralization, we know and the NSA's gotten everything, and all your, when MySpace started in the early 2000s, and my kids go on, there's my favorite songs, my most intimate thoughts, what movie I like, here's a picture of me and all my friends, and I'm drinking, and I got in this, and kind of my playlist. And I go, you know there's some CIA guy going, thank you, right? I mean, I just want you guys to know that. Oh, we don't care. I go, oh, well, no, because I don't care what you do, but know that your avatar, your online presence is what they see of you. When I got burned in '94, I'm laying in bed after the '94 election, healing and so on, in my chemically recreated state. I was counting ceiling tiles. All of a sudden, it dawned on me what was going on. Because we had Carnivore and Epsilon. You guys remember these programs? Echelon. Echelon was the ability for, it was like NSA stuff of all data across the world in, bidded contracts for Airbus, getting the widgets for some company of so-and-so. Well, the United States knew what everybody's bid was. They knew they were taking this information and helping their buddies. The business of America is business. We business, and we got all the information, and we screwed them. Well, it was a member of Parliament in the British Parliament got up and he goes, Echelon, is that what you say? Echelon, you guys know, we know, and you guys know, and you guys suck, and we got nothing. They outed him. And everybody went, what the hell just happened? Well, at the same time, they're also doing what's called Carnivore. Carnivore went out in every single email they would put in these big, you ever see Enemy of the State? I mean, you wish it was only that big, okay? And what they would do is they'd take every email and they would take and put it into servers, and they're looking for something. It's like Google. Google, when you search the internet, you're not searching the internet, you're searching Google's servers. Google has went out and archived and indexed every single page on the entire planet, put it, and this memory uses enormous amounts of energy to have that stuff there. You go, as you're typing it in, it's going in to go, boom, it finds on the server, and it displays an index, and you go. When that first started was Yahoo in the mid-90s. Yahoo was a couple of kids driving old beat-up Datsun B210 kind of thing, and they came up with indexing of the internet. So you go on Yahoo, woohoo, man, I can find stuff, oh my God. Because as activists, what were we doing? Go look at our webpage, but you had to have that webpage. It went from searching it, you could find it. For the first time, we do Second Amendment is for everyone kind of thing. People will put Second Amendment, whatever, so it's safe. I get bombarded with all kinds of stuff. They're coming from Germany and France and Japan to come interview us on this militia crap and everything, I'm sure Alan got a lot of hits from that stuff. So as the web started to grow, there were still people that were not using the World Wide Web. They were using other parts. It's just ones and zeros that can go like this, and how that works, and some people know more than me. So, what we were seeing is in the midnight, right when all this was going on, there was a guy that came up, and it was called PGP, Pretty Good Protection. It was an encryption that he put up on one of these BBSs. When it hit there, wham! It was not, didn't take hardly amount of memory. It just was, you put on those old floppies, 1 point whatever gig or 700 and something megabytes or megabytes. It was like nothing. And you put it in your computer, and this is how it worked. You have a public and a private key. When I send, somebody wants to, and on the bottom of your email, you ever see emails that have a bunch of this gibberish, lines of a bunch of crap at the bottom, they go, my public key. How many of you know how that works? Yeah? Oh yeah, Mr. Linux guy over here, okay? Me and you got to talk before we got, I was thinking of you, now I remember why. Okay, you go to my show talking about Linux, which is a whole nother reason for this. What happens is I go out and I say, here's my public key. You send anything to me, use this gobbledygook of whatever, I write an email, and I paste that in there, go encrypt, and send it to me. Anybody that gets this, it is encrypted, it just looks like matrix crap. It's just, whatever, you can't read it. I have to have my private key to decrypt this. So when it comes into my email, I go decrypt, it combines it, boom, and I just read it like a regular email. But nobody else can. But of course, then the NSA is there looking on my shoulder and reading it as I read it anyway, so you got to be careful how you do this. Don't ever think anything. It's pretty good protection, not perfect, all right? So then that made rise to a couple other things. I remember it was Neil Knox. Do you remember the NRA Neil Knox guy? Neil Knox was very influential in a lot of Second Amendment stuff and legislation that was going on about whatever. But what Neil would do he would send out stuff, and then the Second Amendment community, well, what Neil said. Well, what happened is somebody was sending out emails in his name that looked like it was from him. They cracked his email or something. They were sending this stuff out, important votes at important times and everything. He goes, hey, that was not me. So what did he do? There's another feature of this. You send out with your private secret key an email, and you have to have the public key to open it, and what do you know? You know it came from Neil. Because nobody else has a private key. And it would only decrypt with the public PGP part of that. So then people started going, well, that's very interesting too. Okay? So there was an immediate, use of this, like right away, was identifying people. Then a guy from Oregon, I remember this kid was 93, 94. He goes, you know what? I got an idea. You can do assassination politics. What? And I can't remember the details, but it was something like, you had secret communication with secret transfer of monetary units and kind of this and that, and everything was off and doing, and you got to a certain amount, and that guy's dead. Okay? And a man freaked out and arrested him and Phil Zimmerman that even had PGP. Now, how they got him, they said, he's like First Amendment, I know, and he knew what they were going to do, and we needed to have the ability to do private communications. They said he was guilty of a munitions violation. They go, it's like shipping a howitzer. It's like sending a cruise missile to the Soviets or something, because you exported, this went on the phone system and went outside of the country, you exported PGP encryption. So people, when we go to different protests, or you be in front of the media or something, the PGP code, they would have it printed on their t-shirts. Okay, and they go, oh, NBC sent that out, everybody got across the world, they should go to jail. It was already out of the box. We had articles in the newspaper. I remember one article, it was called Crossbows to Cryptography. And the point that we were making is the king made it illegal for the peasants to have crossbows. Why? Because they were, bring your knight with his little armor, bolt goes, done, I'm next, I'm back to plowing. Okay? Oh, hell no. All right? It was like a gun control thing. Well, it's the same thing with communications. They see that as dangerous. Like when? When do you need it the most? It's in Tahrir Square, it's Tiananmen Square, it's Tehran, it's Arab Rising, Kiev, whatever the hell, and they just turn off the internet. They turn off the phones. They were turning off cell phones. Did the Occupy Phoenix thing. They were turning off cell towers. Okay? So this is like we're going, when you need it the most, Super Bowl time. Boom, it's off. Okay? Everybody's counting on the street. Oh, just Twitter. Yeah. So then we start talking about ham radio, being able to transmit text and do it, which we were talking about in the 90s. Because we knew that that was going to happen. So we're going, all right. This encryption gave rise to something else. You can have an entire blockchain, they call it, and you can have it broke up into so many bitcoins that can be broken up into eighth of that to the 8th decimal point that they call a Satoshi, which is like, like a fraction of a cent or something. A Satoshi, Yamamoto or whatever, Nasha, what's his name, is the guy who created it. Well, it's a fictional character, nobody knows who it is, whatever, it's probably CIA. I mean, I don't care, So I'm going, all right, well, how does this work? Well, it's all based on crypto. So when they send out, you get a Bitcoin on my smartphone right here, I have an application that goes, I go blockchain, and it tells me how many Bitcoin I have, I can send it, I put how much, I can flip on a QR code, and it's done. I bought silver with a Bitcoin that was at like $800 a month or two ago, and I said, here, I send it to Robertson Roberts, a broker in Pensacola, and he goes, hey, I got a Bitcoin, he sends me an email, there it is, I go flip like that, he calls me, like this whole thing took like 3 minutes. He calls me, I pick up the phone, when you convert Bitcoin to silver, that's cash, man, as far as I'm concerned, okay? This is what's going on. Because of this, it is traded between people. You don't even have to have, the application. You just need to have the code, the public, that represents an account, or how many Bitcoins are in this account that I have, a wallet or whatever, and I need the password to it. That's all I need. Pat, go tell her to turn the air conditioning down, please. So you have this code to uncrack this. When you do that, that allows you to move representations of value. And what's the inherent value of Bitcoin? The silver and gold I'm willing to give up for its features. It's anonymous, unlimited, worldwide. So am I really storing wealth in Bitcoin? Hell no. I don't understand it enough to do that, and I ain't doing it. But I want to buy or move silver. I want to go to Panama, and I'm moving, and I'm done. I'm out of here. What are they going to do? They're going to bend you over at the TSA and kind of, where's your Bitcoin we want, and kind of, well, I don't know what you're talking about. You fly into Panama, and you go blip, take your silver, you put it into Bitcoin, Bitcoin to silver, now I just move my silver hundreds of thousands of dollars for pennies to do the transaction. This is the power and why they're afraid. So this is what we're going to do. When you have this service, they want to make it all nice and pretty and easier for you to move it, more convenient, and we'll hold them for you, and we'll be a bank, and we'll do that. That's where Mt. Gox came in. Mt. Gox was famous, now a lot of traffic, a lot of nerds already anyway, because they traded mystery fantasy cards for Dungeons and Dragon games or some BS like that. They had the system to be able to do this kind of stuff. So yeah, we'll do the Bitcoin, come on over here. When people went and opened an account at Mt. Gox, they didn't really were trading Bitcoins. They would give them, put it in their little bank, and then they would trade tokens that represented the Bitcoins. Well, Mt. Gox all of a sudden, wow, that just went away. We don't know what happened, and $450 million or whatever just went away. Well, Bitcoin doesn't work. No. Bitcoin had nothing to do with it. It was this group people trying to go on to a bank with their money, and what do banks say? That's your money, you just can't have it right now. Or we're taking 10% for Cyprus. Or we're doing, that's exactly what happened. So people are screaming out there, don't do any kind they go, well, if you don't use us, I've had these interviews, if you don't use us, well then you got to go get your Bitcoin from some guy at Starbucks. I go, good, that's what I thought it was going to be. If I needed to cash out or something, or we have brokers that are willing to do it, and Patrick Byrne is willing to, like his Overstock.com thing. But why? Comes to a Freedom Summit, he goes, I'll tell you why. Because it's peer-to-peer. Because it has no centralized node. It doesn't have anything or nobody can take it. That's the point. And whenever they create this, so we have a couple of guys, they have a Texas Bitcoin conference going on in Austin, Texas this next week that I'm going to. And we'll put up all our stuff. Their thing is because they have so many Bitcoin, they know that if any government, which is starting to happen already, says, yeah, Bitcoin's okay, yeah, you can trade Bitcoin in the Netherlands, yeah, the government recognizes paying taxes on what, yeah, we got this BitPay that you can do right now. You go on Freedom's Phoenix and you hit it and you say, okay, boom, I'm doing this thing, and they go, okay, and it goes through and they give you cash. So when I go and I buy with Bitcoin silver, he doesn't hold the Bitcoin unless he wants to. What happens is it goes through a service called BitPay. It's like PayPal. It takes whatever the current value is of the Bitcoin, converts it to cash, and deposits it in his bank, and the government just sees it as a cash transaction. And you're using Bitcoin. All these services around Bitcoin, because of its features and because of its value, are building up around the Bitcoin, but the Bitcoin has nothing to do with any of them. It's just like silver. It's like cash. It's great. It's who's the service. And of course, they want to take their percent, 2%, 3%. To offer you that service. But when you start doing that is when these security things happen. So when they went to the Silk Road in the deep web I was telling you about, you go on there with a BitTor account that anonymizes. It's all this encryption stuff. Nobody knows who's looking. You got to know what you're doing. But these guys, and they're buying LSD and heroin and whatever, and it goes there, ooh, look at this nice bud, and they got holding it right here. And you go, okay, Bitcoin, because it's anonymous, and it shows up at your front door. To the tunes of billions of dollars. Drug lords don't like this, unless they're the guys doing it. But so who got cut out of this? The government. CIA, the DEA, all these guys are making money on, nobody loves the drug war more than a drug kingpins and law enforcement. I mean, they're the ones making all the money. So this totally started bypassing, and it was giving credibility to Bitcoin. And they're going into ammunition. Oh, hiring hitmen. You keep hearing about that? This goes back to the guy in Oregon, 20 years ago, predicting that this was coming. Government freaks out. They go and arrest who they think is this guy named Dread Pirate Roberts that ran the Silk Road. Within a week or two after it, Silk Road 2.0, Kiss My Ass, and 3 others that started doing it. They can't stop it. When the government seized all this guy's Bitcoin, there's millions of dollars in Bitcoin. Yeah, we got it. There's Bitcoin. Yeah? Well, without the password, you ain't getting it. Who was the largest holder of Bitcoin at that time? Well, it was probably other people. But the government had a whole big giant chunk of who we wanted. And if we waterboard this guy enough, maybe we'll get his password. And we even give him admit that he was the guy. So then people were sending to that account these little, like 0.0000 Bitcoin with messages in it, send it to the FBI, go, screw you, and you can't tell I am, I mean, just jerking with them. So what happens? Bitcoin shoots up after they close down Silk Road. Why? Because everybody found out that they can't crack it. And they went, wow. Mt. Gox. Mt. Gox sucks. Bitcoin sucks. We close down Mt. Gox. The whole thing sucks. It's the death knell of. The media starts hitting it and so on. They put it, Bitcoin's only $250 now. You can't, I go, fine. Well, hell, I'll buy it. Let's go. Oh, we suspended trading. Then how do you know it's 250? Well, we just said it is. It's 250. Okay, well, I want them. Well, you can't buy them. Well, it's not 250. What do I got to pay for them? $700 out in the free market. So what the hell did Bitcoin have? So when you hear the report, Bitcoin down to 300, 400, 500, yeah, I'm trying to buy it for that. You're paying 500, 600. I don't know if you got a smartphone, you can look and see what it is now. The free market determines what it is. The media is going and just making fools of themselves, trying to give the impression that they're just trying to slow it down to stop it. It has nothing to do with centralized banking. This is why. That blockchain, when you download the program, you hear about these Bitcoin miners and so on, because there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoins in existence. Most like pieces of gold ever in existence. I mean, right now, every piece of gold that was ever mined is like a cube. It's like what, 40 yards square. I mean, that's every bit of gold ever mined. Is like, it sits on a third of a football field. I mean, that's it. So what happens? Well, it goes up in value. It just goes up in value. I don't need more gold. It just goes up in value. Same thing with Bitcoin. So it won't be until like 2030. It's like every 10 minutes they create 25 more Bitcoin or something. So what that does, that means all the Bitcoins are going to have been mined by about 2030. So they already know it's a finite number. But it doesn't really matter. What they're doing that for is an incentive for people to use the electricity on their computers to do the processing of the algorithm and doing the power of their computer to, process all these transactions. When you download it, I download the entire blockchain. That is on my computer. Just like Napster when you were sharing songs and all that kind of stuff. That right there is the entire blockchain. I see everything. Every transaction, every portion, every bit, everything is on there. Along with thousands, if not tens of thousands of other computers that have the exact same file that's updated every 10 minutes. What happens with that is if I do fraud, I steal one, I take one, EMP goes off, the entire 1/2 of the country, of the world gets wasted or whatever, it doesn't matter because the entire file is distributed over thousands and thousands of computers. It never goes away. For security, they go, all right, well, I'm moving $1 million. You might want to have it confirmed by 5 or 6 or 7. They think it's about 6. You get 6 nodes, that will confirm that transaction, it's done. Bitcoin is not going away. And if it's not Bitcoin, it'll be something like it. But this is the problem. Big shows up, big boys, had the heads up, man, we're going at it. And the thing is that There is a group of people that want it to be recognized by the government because they know the second that happens, their Bitcoins will skyrocket, and they got 20, 30,000 of them. And if they get, the IRS is put on their tax form, and right here is your Bitcoin for increased capital gains with the value of this year and your 1090, whatever, blah, 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 fill it out here, which some countries are doing. They just came from Germany. So I go, okay, I know. You want to be Wolf on Wall Street and your yacht and all your, how many babes can you have at your side? I get it. You will be exceedingly filthy, stinking rich. But you're going to bend over for the man in order to do it. And there's an entire philosophy of the people that understand the freedom aspects and decentralized anarchist libertarian role of Bitcoin that don't want to have anything to do with that. And we're all clashing next week, and I'm going to have like a whole bunch of our freedom speakers. We have a new poster Davi did that depicts just this war. And it has the way it looks. Did you put it up, Donna? Is it this current? It depicts a bunch of people behind this big wall, kind of like a Pastel wall or something. And they're in there, and Bitcoin inspected here, and kind of the man's doing and so on. And it shows somebody holding their phone up. And on the other side of the wall, you see this futuristic floating city that represents us in the future and the free guys. And our girl is over there standing on top of her saucer spaceship holding up a QR code like this, and somebody's just blipping it over the wall. And I go, no matter what walls or regulation you're trying to do, it doesn't matter. And where do we have the QR code? She's holding it up, and the light behind it is the moon. It's QR code on the moon. Yeah, blip on the moon. I got it, done. That's how big this idea is. So, this is not where it ends, though. Because you have an encryption that gives you who owns what, Donna and I, about a year or so ago, bought some land up by Shola. Got 1.5 acres. We had, Keith helped us with it, did a trust that, we had 3 times having to redo the paperwork. Get it just right to go into his trust, and then sold it to our trust, and then we took and put it in the safe. We have the highest ownership of it. Anybody said, you don't, hey, I got it here, it was transferred, I got it. Well, you didn't file with the county recorder. I don't give a shit what they do. I paid the taxes on it. But what happens? The county recorder, well, if a bank and mortgage we didn't robo-sign, it doesn't matter, they get an out-of-jail-free card and they don't have to abide by, and it's theirs and not yours, and it sucks to be you. Well, the whole purpose of government was for them to have who owns what. Well, if the banks come in and say, well, they don't, we separated, and we did okay, well, we'll just do a do-over, and it doesn't matter what our rules are. So I don't trust them anyway, and I got a lot of good evidence that they're bad guys, so what do? I take this and we do a bit square program that says GPS coordinates, corner, 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 this is mine. Who recognizes? I don't know, 15 gazillion people across the planet. Well, who's going to enforce that? I don't know, who's got the bigger gun that day. I mean, that's what it is now anyway. But am I going to count on the government to do it? What happens when we start using the blockchain, not just as currency, but to represent your car, your cell phone, your land? Who recognizes it? I don't know. Not my problem. I do. And in the future, they will start doing it. Just like they have these providers that are starting to recognize Bitcoin now. And it will go, and that was the one hurdle that I had. How do you eliminate government entirely? Because government always has to have a representation of who owns what, especially with land. So I go, this just removed the county recorder's office. This is the future. Bryson over here, he's going to be growing up with this. He's not going to understand that he was here at the time when all this started. And when did it start? PGP encryption in the early 90s. And us, as I was a young guy doing this, I could see what was coming. I could see it. So then what happens? They have the Liberty Forum, which is a Free State Project thing that they do in the wintertime. They have the Pork Festa camping thing in the summer, Liberty Forum in the winter, the week after Freedom Summer. Davi Barker has this thing called Bitcoin, Not Bombs. He was doing a presentation on something else, but the point that they make is that by using Bitcoin, you're not funding this Federal Reserve, fractional reserve banking. By doing that, that's how they're able to afford these wars. And he goes, if you use Bitcoin, you're not going to have bombs. I mean, that was kind of the point that they make. He's up there doing a presentation on something else, authoritarian sociopathy, why do you have Nazis, killing people, how do you get away with, the experiments you can do, there's a thing that he's doing. He comes back through the TSA, going back to San Francisco and Manchester Airport Sunday. Bill Buford happened to be going with them. They both opt out, opt out, opt out. And they go, I'm going to do it. And then this is what Bill says every time. He goes, don't touch my dick. We're going to bring over a supervisor. Yeah, whatever. I'm going to be a butthead. So they go, well, they get all nervous, right? He does that on purpose to screw with them. Don and I always do opt out. Opt out, opt out. Because when you used to say, well, I want to opt out, I don't want to go through this guy. They go, opt out, opt out. You guys remember that? If you ever been in there, they'll scream that. So I go up and I go, hi, I'm going to go, I go, opt out, opt out. I beat them to it. Screw you, assholes. Then they had the two little yellow feet, and I always stand 1 foot off and 1 foot between the yellow feet. Just stand on the mat. I go, no, this is my protest. You got to give me this. Seriously. When I got to stand on those two things, we know we've got some issues, you know. So I mean, it's that kind of thing. I try and have, I do a little hit before I go, so I'm in a good mood, whatever. But so what happens is, Dobby goes through the opt-out, they feel them up, they go through everything. Oh, is this your, we got a bunch of, we got to run it through again. They do that, they get all done, everything. We've done, okay. He gets everything, and he turns around two guys in, and this is on Alex Jones, man. They just made a big deal this week. We broke this thing. He did interview right after they did a YouTube, of this in the airport with Bill talking about this, and this is what happened. The two TSA people come up and they say, hey, we just need to know, where you going? Earth. Screw you. Okay? But we need to, have a little talk with you. We see that you had some Bitcoin. Well, anybody that knows anything about Bitcoin, you don't see Bitcoin. It's virtual. It's in the, you can't hold it, okay? But what they've been prepped on is actual coins. It was just a PR thing that on there had a QR code or a number that had the account. You could send money to it. But if you peeled the hologram, it was like a plastic coating on it. It was a tamper-resistant thing. If you peeled it off, it gave you the password. So I have one of those in my safe, all right? Got $4 back in the day. It was just a PR thing. All of a sudden, because just the numismatic value of that thing's worth an ounce of gold now. And I go, ooh, I better keep that value, dust that thing off. We go see it, and I got it. And you can charge to it. Nobody's ever opened. Nobody even knows anybody even has this. I can put $1 million on that Bitcoin. I don't even need the coin. I just need the password that's underneath it. I put it to that account. I go to Thailand, and I just, I can memorize, put it on a piece of paper, tattoo it on, do the Jason Bourne under the skin thing, whatever the hell, okay? I have all my money. This is what they're thinking. Well, if he's traveling internationally, and he has over $10,000 in Bitcoin, boom, arrest you, got you, get the Bitcoin kind of whatever. So they're thinking, here's this Liberty Forum, we're trying to catch somebody with Bitcoin. He has Bitcoin for the homeless. And what they did is they gave hoodies to a bunch of San Francisco, everybody donated Bitcoin. They went and bought a bunch of these big orange hoodies, Bitcoin not bombs, and they gave them to all these homeless people in San Francisco. So in San Francisco, you got all these homeless guys walking around with Bitcoin shirts all the time. Right? So he's wearing this. Well, they go, we know you're a Bitcoin guy. Where's your Bitcoin? Give us the Bitcoin. We got Bitcoin. We got to get the guys with the Bitcoin. So he's getting kind of nervous. He's going, I don't have any Bitcoin. He didn't have any of the Casatius coins. He just had little pins that had like Bitcoin on it. So they're wanting to, and Bill Buper's sitting right there with his wife Lilo, and they're just going, and they kind of comment in a little bit, and they do the YouTube afterwards. And what did we find out? TSA is looking for people that are transferring Bitcoin. They just don't understand how it works. So like, we saw Bitcoin, we're going to get Bitcoin, woo-hoo, man, I'm going to get big, I get percentage, So they're going, whoa, these guys are doing, so all of a sudden now, TSA, the federal government, is on Bitcoin. Why? Because people are moving their assets all over the world. You have guys that are, well, you come to our company and we do it through this fund and kind of put it in this and transfer and do it at the bank and the proper and passport and account, or I can just do Bitcoin. Because all that stuff that they're talking about, these different industries and so on, I know a lot of these guys, They're like, expatriate, go in here, move your stuff around. I go, yeah, it's all very interesting. Blip, I just moved my entire accumulated wealth in a nano moment, cost me nothing, and now I have it over there and bite me. You see the damage? So all this PR you're hearing about, oh, this thing went down, this thing doesn't work. It doesn't matter. It's like you know, Bank of America goes bankrupt. What do I care if I got my cash not in Bank of America? See my point? But it's the concept of two-part encryption that can, you know, have you hire assassins anonymously, buy heroin right now, go and communicate with anybody secretly, and be able to transfer wealth wherever you want. The decentralization of government is happening not later. And it was predicted by a lot of these minds that are doing this. And the big battle of how many libertarians can dance on the head of a pin that's going on right now is, do we want government sanction or not? Well, a lot of the internet, oh, hell no, that was the whole point. But the guys that have a bunch of Bitcoin know that the second that the government says, well, okay, boom, it's going to shoot to the moon, they'll sell out, buy their moon base, and go, sucks to be y'all. But it'll be over here. And this is the argument they make. Well, they can't regulate the blockchain. We know that. They can't. It's not possible. That was the whole point of it. But if we kind of, you know, trick them into thinking they can, well, maybe they'll do some kind of regulatory whatever, and we'll get all this. So we're taking the red pill and we're wrapping it in cheese for the dog. And I go, it's government cheese. Okay? You're just doing the government cheese thing. You know, so we're having fun with this, going back and forth.
That's a good analogy.
So now you kind of have an understanding of how distributed, when you download a song with Napster, the guy, what's his face, that went in, you know, with Mark Zuckerberg, he did Napster, and that totally, Tower Records, anybody invested in Tower Records anymore? I mean, you know, and what happened is that all the people that have all these different songs on their computer, so when you would download it, you get pieces from a whole bunch of them, and it would come in, build the song, I got it done, nobody knew who it was. So did they go after the people? No, they go after the people that was doing the service. So then you have Kim.com out of New Zealand is creating an entirely new system that's all has encryption in its core, which is why Cody Wilson, 3D gun printing guy, was one of the speakers at the summit. Did he talk about the gun? No. That was just a PR thing to show people that intellectual property was done. I can print whatever I want. What are you going to do? 7-year-olds can print guns. Yeah. That's kind of the point. How are you going to regulate that? So what happens is he's doing a thing called Dark Wallet. Dark Wallet is, I'm going to show this one video, and then we'll get to the other guys. But all this stuff is in the news, and you really have no clue what's going on. You guys be like, I don't get it. Okay? In the news, I saw MSNBC, and they said, no, God, and all the guys that know are sitting there laughing their ass off when you guys have no idea what you're talking about. Just like the TSA agents. Hey, well, you know, you got like Bitcoin somewhere, you know. We're going, woo! You know, where's the Bitcoin? And they're going, it's virtual, it's not here. It's in my, I mean, guys, so obviously they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And he would say, they goes, I don't think you know what you're talking about. Okay? So while everybody's getting this, you know, they're all laughing their ass off, going, Now, what he did, this one video will kind of explain what's going on. There is an attempt to make easy email and so on that is encrypted that cannot be NSA, and they call it dark wallet. And it's going to be Now, does anybody have any questions on that? They don't understand how, you know, what I had to say?
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
Ernie, in the world of finance, you have these arbitrage specialists who, because they can actually have access to amazing information when currencies are traded, oil's traded, and so forth, and in a very, very short period of time, they can use fractions of dollars, but on giant transactions to make some substantial profits. And when I brought up the issue of Bitcoin last month or 4 or 5 months ago, my question was regarding the fact of whether or not it really was a decent currency, because if the value can change, that's kind of the death knell for currency, something to be used as a currency. So if the value of Bitcoin can be worth $50 one day, and then next month it's worth $1,000, then there's some time in there where just in a matter of a half an hour, an hour, you can fluctuate substantially. Isn't that isn't that a serious problem if you're talking about giant transactions?
Serious problem to who?
To the person that ends up with the Bitcoin at the lower value than as opposed to the higher value that they have.
Yeah, they probably shouldn't do it then, huh?
Maybe.
See, my thing is that when I do BitPay, it's an immediate transaction. What is it now? Okay, here it is. This much Bitcoin, blip, it goes straight into dollars into their accounts for cash transaction. It eliminates that.
Okay.
Okay, but it's a service. And a lot of people, they go, no, they don't value Bitcoin is not going to get valued in dollars soon. Just like silver is not going to get valued in dollars soon. It's going to be how much I got dimeanddozen.info for Donna's eggs. You give me a silver dime, they could have been as much as $3.80 a piece or something. Now they're $1.50 or something like that, and I don't care. I want the silver dime. I don't give a crap what it's worth. I want the dime. It's a different way of thinking. And these anarchist libertarian types, that's how they think. So when you're talking about the dollar thing, you're still thinking dollars. Like I say, you're still voting. You're still thinking in dollars. See, it's changing. It's a generation. It's our age and older can't comprehend this. And the younger guys, he's going to grow up thinking in terms of Bitcoin. They're looking right now. They're wanting to name the decimal points. It goes from 0.00001 is a Satoshi. Well, what do you name the other ones? Like, well, one of them needs to be a Phoenix. I tell you that right now. I don't think you big campaign for me doing that. Okay, now what we're going to do is hopefully we'll have the sound, so everybody, be quiet. I'm going to turn this up here. And this is only a few minutes, but it explains why they're doing this, because it's more than just being able, and he has a saying in here that really, just really puts it up. A system is reaching perfection just in time for our disappearance. Let there be dark. This is what they're afraid of. Bitcoin is what they're afraid of. And we know it, and he sure as hell does.
How do I accumulate mine, whatever the term is, how do I get my hands on Bitcoin?
Well, you can buy and sell and do services. And, okay, here we go.
Maybe you thought you'd see it coming. But the moment's here. And it's time to make a choice. At its end of empire. The United States imagines the power to regulate the world's first great digital currency, Bitcoin.
It's a cyber currency, so how do we get to it?
To provide a framework for its existence. Technology that questions all previous frameworks. Considered a straitjacket. Helping the United States is a group of lobbyists and corporations calling themselves the Foundation. The Foundation centralized development and advocacy. They're developing a crypto wallet that runs on a completely independent software stack. This wallet runs on the back end of Bitcoin, the Connectables SX, and the Obelisk blockchain server architecture.
This is Cody, he's a 3D gun guy.
The premier version of which will include and the foundation of a distributed identity protocol. Help us cover the next 4 months of full-time development. Help us make this implementation a line in the sand.
Technology. Now we are all being intercepted permanently. This is a state change.
My personal bank accounts were shut down. I was blacklisted from having a personal bank account. It doesn't matter, I don't use Bitcoin. And now we're hearing stories of people's personal accounts being
why are they so dangerous?
They're saying they were comfortable operating in that environment because they felt that they enjoyed complete anonymity.
Are you watching? Are you listening? Bitcoin is what they fear it is. But we believe. To forbid. To make its choice. There's a system approaching perfection. just in time for our disappearance. So, let there be dark.
You have no idea what's coming. I can't explain it to you any more than it is a foundational change in how human beings connect and communicate with each other. And it has nothing to do with borders or boundaries, has nothing to do with nationalities or patriotism or any of that crap. It's instant communication, translated Google, talking to a 13-year-old kid without a suicide vest on in Tehran, okay? This is totally different. When they put this up, this Indiegogo campaign, months ago, it was funded at a $50,000 goal, and it was funded in like, I don't know, a day or two. Because people understood what it meant. And Cody, I go to him one time, I said, Cody, when he first started, in the first picture he had on the Guardian in the United Kingdom, when he did the 3D gun project, he was holding the Law by Frederick Bastiat in one hand and an AK-47 in the other. That was the graphic that went internationally. I immediately knew he understood. I've had him on 8, 9 times, spoken at the summit, meeting you all, word up, and so on. Finally, one time I talked to him, I go, "You're one of them, aren't you?" He goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "You're at least a 160 IQ." He goes, "Yeah, about 170. This is what they're dealing with. You can bitch all you want about what you think you can, you think you know, and kind of you're looking for. It doesn't matter. This is already done. The TSA is going an anal probe looking for. They have no concept. They're so far behind this. So what happens? JP Morgan comes out a few months ago, 175 patent requests trying to do their own cryptocurrency. I'm sorry?
I thought those patents, the JP Morgan patents dated back to the 90s.
Oh, I have no idea. My point is that JP Morgan wants to try and get in on it, like I trust them. Okay. So I mean, I got JP Morgan or Bitcoin, which one? So the entire Bitcoin is not just a way of a communication, a blockchain. It is also all the ancillary stuff around it for how it works. So so it can be. They have a whole bunch of other. There's like 85 different cryptocurrencies. It doesn't matter. They got a Ron Paul, crypto or whatever. That's not the point. It's going to be something like this. So that is why I wanted to explain this to you, because I know this is in the big in the news, and a lot of people will say different stuff, and I go back and I got my own problems too. But this is the one thing that I said. I go, they're having a big hackathon. It has like millions of dollars in prizes or whatever at this thing in Texas. Now you think you can break it? Yeah, we'll give you $1 million, work stuff out. Okay? Will there be anybody that do it? I don't know. They did Mount Doc. I was just, human error and fraud, and somebody ripped you off because you centralize it. That was the point. Don't centralize it. I go get the actual chain from a guy that has them at Starbucks, or we do an email, kind of blip in mine. And it has nothing to do with centralization. When you do it, stuff like that happens. Okay? Michael, please. Introduce yourself, because you'd be gone a while, slacker.
Hi, as you can tell by the way I'm dressed, I didn't expect to get here today, so I'm not exactly, I don't have any prepared remarks. My wife and I left here about 7 years ago. An opportunity presented itself up in Wyoming, so I jumped on it. It's where I want to be. And I've spent about 10 years in oil and gas exploration, worked for Texaco and some smaller companies, and then switched careers, went to medical school down in Galveston, and I'm the pathologist at 2 hospitals up in southwestern Wyoming right now, which is why I'm going nuts and why I had to just get away and live my 3rd and 4th childhood down here. I brought my 50 cal along. I bought it from Jack McLam many years ago, and I had yet to fire it. I fired it yesterday, first time. And it wasn't very manly spectacle. I put a string on trigger. I got behind an old cedar tree because I didn't know what was going to happen. I never asked Jack to prove that this thing even worked. So I loaded it up and fired it at a hillside, and I think I hit the hill. Man, I've never fired anything like that in my life. It's quite an experience. After 3 rounds, I got gutsy and actually put it to my shoulder and fired 2 more rounds. And said, wahoo! I haven't killed anything. I don't think I killed any cows or anyone's kids. So I felt like I was lucky and called it a day. After I spent a couple hours talking to Terry's old friend. I see a couple of familiar faces around here. You remember Harry Everingham? A few of you do. I was telling Frank that the entrance fee was $8 back when I used to attend. I guess that inflation has hit even the Breakfast Club. And there used to be a silhouette of John Wayne outside to greet you as you came through the door. But at any rate, Ernie left a tremendous impression on me, as I'm sure he has on all of you. All the libertarians in my life have done that. I'm kind of a conservative by nature. First the guy I helped get into the oil industry, he was a bartender down in Houston, and it turned out he did much better in the industry than I did eventually. But he was talking about seat belts. That's a new seatbelt law in Texas. You had to wear a seatbelt. And he said, I don't agree with that. The government has no right intruding in my life. And I said, what do you mean? They mean well. They just want to keep us safe. And that planted the seed in the brain. And then Ernie, of course, has completely inundated me and overwhelmed my system with, there's two kinds of people in the world. Those who want to be left alone, those who won't leave them alone. And that's kind of the way we approach things. Ernie remembers me as a conspiratorial theorist, and I studied the Council of Foreign Relations and trilaterals and Bilderbergers and ad infinitum.
Yeah, but now we have web pages.
Yeah, and Ernie just cut through all that crap and said that, it's just people are just gangsters out there. Good guys, and then there's gangsters, people who want to take away everything you have. And somewhere in between those two is the truth. I think a lot of those Council of Foreign Relations guys, they probably had utopian good intentions. And I think a lot of those guys are falling away from the group, leaving only the criminals behind. But so 7 years ago, I moved up to Wyoming, my wife and I, and transplanted us up to the coldest, windiest, godforsaken, barren country in south of Mount Washington, New Hampshire. But anyway, I started writing op-eds, and to the paper, to its credit, it wrote it word for word everything I wrote.
Wyoming has a left.
Yeah, Rocket Miner in Rock Springs, Wyoming. Writers on the range is 2 or 3 columns almost every day. These guys wouldn't know the range if they, fell on them. But and like most of these lefties, they're all paid for by Rockefellers.
5 minutes, Mike.
Yeah. So anyway, I was writing endlessly. I wrote a piece once a week, and all of a sudden I wrote a piece about why all the cops across the country are suddenly turning to black uniforms, why the federal government is opening up their coffers to local and county governments to buy surplus equipment. And all of a sudden the paper changed its policy and said, well, you can't submit any more often than once every 6 weeks. So that was somebody obviously made a phone call and said, hey, shut this guy down. So at any rate, I kept up just as well because I was going nuts trying to do my job and write pieces. So 08, I ran for Congress. Barbara Cuban, there's only one congressperson in Wyoming, less than 500,000 people, the whole state. So for $125, I was in the race. So I did my job by about noon, and then ran off to some far corner of the state, got in a debate, and then ran back home in the middle of the night and went to work the next day and just about killed myself in the process. I was trying to warn people about this financial tsunami, the derivative crisis that was headed their way. And it was an education for me. I discovered that chambers of commerce, private interest groups, ranchers, miners groups, they ran the whole process. They controlled debates, limited the time you could speak, what you could talk about. And they didn't care about the big issues, the Federal Reserve, money issues. So the system is gone. And so more and more, I'm looking to people like Ernie to kind of hold the torch out and lead the way forward. Because frankly, the system is programmed to collapse. It has been since 1913. We all know that who've looked at the money issue, and it's just a question is, are there smart enough people out there who can get us through the wall that's coming? So any rate, I appreciate Ernie's comments, and I'd still like to know how you get started in the Bitcoin world.
Thank you, Mark. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. This is one thing I do with a lot of people. They're wherever they are on the political spectrum and what they do, and like even when they the Levolution and they're going to go in the Republican Party to fix it and all that kind of stuff, I go because you're going to find out faster than me telling you anyway. You know, so if I go through the stuff and I'm going, oh, we're going to fix the system, are we? No, you're not. Okay, it's preparing for the next system. Everything that we do in Freedom's Phoenix, we just turned on a funding center, like a Kickstarter that we can do, because a lot of these programs that they do, they go, closed, done, next, can't do it. So we set up ours. We're doing a marketplace. We're doing beta testing now. Well, the thing is that, why am I doing this? It's not, I could do widget, plug-in, Facebooking, kind of somebody kickstarting whatever. No. It needs to be totally autonomous from that system. It needs to be, we build our own thing. It's taken hundreds of thousands of dollars that we spent on this system over the past 7, 8 years to do this. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Who gives me that money? Contributors of people that understand what I do and they have money. That's it. It's as simple as that. Who is a guy out there, at the Freedom Summit, I got called, Mike, I'm going to have you do a quickie here real quick. And the reason we're going on is because Steve was like, I can't talk that long. I was just give me like 15, 20. We'll go over it. So we'll go through stuff, and we're doing this intentionally for Steve because he was like, don't make me talk that long. So what happened was I go, there has been, let me sum it up this way. It is inevitable what is coming. Inevitable. All your retirement and 401, whatever you got, and kind of employer matched of your whatever, and then what did we hear at the State of the Union by Obama? Oh, because we get every call. But we love you, America. We're going to allow you to, your pensions and your funds and everything should now be invested in what? In the U.S. debt. Treasury bill. Oh, yeah, I vote that, you know. So I'm going, wow, it's almost like you can't make fun of these guys enough. So I'm going, who has a solution? You do. When you go to these things, it's always the Republican, oh, I got a plan, this is my plan, you got a plan. I bet you had a plan, okay? They'll go, oh, his plan sucks and my plan's better. They always go, when I run it, it's amazing, you know, how much ground I get on this. You'll hear it the next election cycle. I go up and I say, my plan, you get to have your own plan. Wasn't that the promise of the U.S. government? Is that we protect your life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. What's your pursuit? It's not somebody else's plan, it's your plan. You get to pursue your happiness, your plan. That's the promise. Are they doing that? Hell no. So when you get up and say, my plan is you get to have your own plan, well, that's not a plan. That's coming all at once on a worldwide basis, and you can't see it. It is I don't even try anymore. I don't waste time. I'm just waiting for all y'all to die off, okay? You hear me saying this for 20 years. Now you understand what I'm talking about. It's not necessarily as individuals you die off, but this ideology die off of this generation. But we got to have a plan to fix it, the progressive, whatever the hell, and the conservative, whatever the hell. If it doesn't support me, have my own plan, next. And they're just going off and doing it, and there's nothing you can do about it. FYI, nothing you can do about it. When they come up and they say, yeah, but there's some, bend over and you might have a Cassatius in there, a Bitcoin in there somewhere, it doesn't even matter because you don't have the password. What? They don't understand. So these young kids, what I kind of gave you an overview here, they understand in great detail exactly how this works, why it can't be controlled, and the only reason they even want to give that kind of a flavor of control because it will make their Bitcoin, as you go, oh, I want some Bitcoin, that's exactly what they want. You feel safe because somebody said it was okay, and it shoots to the moon, and they go, ha, 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 ha. Man, with this, we'll do mine. Amazon, a friend of mine, Dean Pleasant, all you guys may know Dean, he works at Amazon, some VP of whatever the hell comes up. I shouldn't have said that on Anyway, some VP or whatever comes up, and he kind of lets loose a little PR thing that Amazon is going to do a space delivery. They're going to deliver something to the space station or something like that. Woohoo! Now we're going to space. Well, they're talking 60 Minutes. Ooh, a drone, that'll never happen. He's like, they're laughing their ass off going, drone? Hell, we're going to have a spaceship come and 15 drones come out, go deliver and come back to mothership and go and screw you. Well, you don't know Jeff Bezos that owns Amazon has his own space program called Blue Origin in West Texas, where he has vertical takeoff and landing rockets like years ago. It's called Blue Origin. Go look, they're hiring. SpaceX has theirs. This March 16th, okay, 2 weeks from now, SpaceX has a rocket that's going to supply the space station. It's going to go up, and the first stage, like a Saturn V rocket, you know, the first stage, all the 5 engines, this is 9. He goes, fuel is cheap. Those engines are expensive. I'm not Lockheed looking to make money. I'm not going to save money. He goes, I can do it for a fraction of what these guys do. He goes, you know one other thing that we're doing? Goes. First stage is landing. I can show you right now. It's called Grasshopper. 10-story high first stage. You've already took it up. You know, it goes up however, kilometer or something, comes back, lands on the ground. Heck, when I was a kid like him, I'm going, why aren't they doing that? That's just stupid. They're just wasting money. Their goal was to waste money. They couldn't land. They had the lunar lander go and land on the moon. They can't do that? Of course they can. So Elon Musk goes, bite me, and he's going to land the first stage this month. And you don't know anything about it. Think that might make news? Yeah, a little blip. Covering the secrets and exposing the freaking lies. Michael, come up and tell people what you're going to be doing today.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, we're, well, first of all, my buddy Brian Gallagher and I'm Mike Crosswhite, by the way, and what we were interested in doing was sharing technologies that we understand, trying to teach as many people as we can, and then in that process, we want to learn from you. So last month, we had our first Freedom Tech Workshop. It was at Ernie's house, and we built a horizontal garden. Now the horizontal garden is it's made out of 2-inch plastic PVC pipes, and it wraps around a wooden frame, and you have a fish tank that supplies the water, and you have a pump, and it circulates the water, and you put plants in the pipe. You drill holes in the pipe, and you put plants in there. And so it winds up being only about 3 foot by 5 foot wide. So you can put it on your patio if you have a condo, or, you know, it doesn't take up a lot of space, but you've got a wall that's 7 foot high, front and back, that can grow food. So you can grow lettuce and strawberries, whatever you want, in this little horizontal garden. It's aquaponics. And so we had that last month, and we're going to do it again today at Ernie's at noon. Anyway, what we're looking for is we have other technologies that we want to share with people as well in future months, but we want to also give you the opportunity to share your knowledge with us, because we want to learn technologies, skills, that kind of thing. If you know how to weld and know how to teach people, we're interested. If you have a metal lathe and you want to teach someone how to do it, let's get together, let's set up a workshop. You teach us, we'll teach you, let's share together, because when this derivative thing happens, you know, we're all going to be dependent upon each other, and that's what we need to share the skills. So come join us. We're doing it today. So it'll be Ernie's at noon to 3.
Yeah, whenever.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Is it the same workshop basically that you offered the last time?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I was at that.
Yeah. Did you enjoy it last Thursday?
Oh, yeah. I thought a lot about your stuff about building or not modifying it, but that's a...
What he's building right outside this wall right here, we have it. You know, it's another one of the ones that they built. and that's part of our system. All right, let's go ahead and do Steve. At the Prepper Fest, I saw this unit, and he gave his presentation, and I go, and just like with the first stage come and landing and space race and the carbon nanotube thing we do in the batteries in the lab, and we got space, any of these tech things that you guys are doing, Mike and Brian, they make, Bedini, motors and all kinds of different extraordinary technology kind of stuff they want to do and different things we want to do, let's do it. So this was just one of their first classes that they have. Okay, this is what we know, it's pretty simple, we can do this, $20, and we build it, everybody that was there knows how to do it. I mean, look, I did it, okay, that's cool. Well, there's a lot of things that people know how to do that they should do. Well, one of them, for me, was I'm thinking, how come you just don't have, a pump with the filter and the power and all of a sudden, like years you think this stuff, and I've had guys on have various different kinds of units. He had this for a ridiculously low amount. I was going, you're stupid for selling it, but you should sell it for twice that. I don't know what you're thinking. Of course, give me mine, but I mean, the other guys. So what happened was, he demonstrated and showed it, and we put this in. Now this lower one here can fit right underneath here if we wanted to, but we have this one, and you put an extra pump in there, it kind of takes up the space there, but it has walk around, and we just put it there so that we can demonstrate how it works. Now I'm going to show you pictures of it, and then we're going to put all this down, take this down, just put the unit up here, you guys come touchy-feely. Now I'm going to let him describe what the plumbing is here, each one of these that does what, and each one. Now, go ahead and come up and introduce yourself, but let me show you something before we get back to this. In my dome, there are solar panels that are roll-out, flexible solar panels. I couldn't find anywhere that didn't get any shade, so we just put grommets on the end underneath the bird netting, because I was afraid somebody would just come steal them. I put them on the bird netting, and it's like, it's too hard, never mind. So we put these out there. I get, he'll tell you how much, it's enough. It runs this thing for like ever. So there's the solar part there. Now that's on the left side, that is the device that they're talking. I painted it copper and made it all pretty cool. That's the same thing, that thing over there. Now, that's them inside the dome. There's the bird netting, and that's two domes. This first dome is where my sink is. It's pressurized. I pick my vegetables, I go over to my sink. Now the video camera, I'm doing my radio show, there's a video camera here, and I'm standing where he's at, looking at the camera. Yeah, we're washing the vegetables and I got my cordless mic and in the show, and it sucks to be you, okay? So this is, within it, we had it all set and ready. In an afternoon yesterday, he hooked it up, boom, I'm up and running, okay? Now he's going to show you the plumbing of this and what it does, the HOPE system. And he just came from California, where he's been negotiations in city councils and all this stuff. When they have disaster, earthquake, whatever, they don't have enough of these, and I don't know why. Okay, Steve Mueller, go ahead.
I'm Steve Mueller. I'm from Las Vegas. I met Ernie probably about 1 year ago today, and he was at the Preppers Fest. And he came up and says, "What is it?" And he was the quickest person to catch on to what it was. And he's like, "Wait here, I'll be right back." Come back 15 minutes later with some other guy in a tie, and I explained what it does, and his eyes got about this big, and he told me about what he was doing, and then he had a radio show and so forth, and we started to communicate, and I think he had me on like a week later, and ever since, every time I come in town, they board me up and feed me good food and take care of me. I also need to know the city council for the city of Phoenix to send me a bill. Because this is the second time I came and it rained. So I'm apparently bringing the rain. And then I find out that Vegas has been raining for 2 days. So I don't know. We have a lot of filters here, and what there are two filters in this system. One is just straight flow through filters. So if you need to take water from here to here, it doesn't go through any kind of filters or anything, it just pumps the water. It can also pressurize your house and pressurize any kind of gadgets you need for that. There's a second pump. I think this is a non-filter pump and this is the filter pump. And that goes through the water filtration. The system makes 3 different types of water. It makes purified water at 2.5 gallons per minute. This is for large communities. This will make the water totally safe to drink. This is the same type of water filtration system you'll find in other water systems where you use your charcoal filtrations or take on camping trips and so forth. The purification system for the first one at 2.5 gallons is a micron filtration, charcoal carbon filtration, and UV. The other 2 waters it produces is an alkaline water and reverse osmosis. Now, reverse osmosis, if you guys are familiar with this, it's a process where there is wastewater. You're going to waste about 2 gallons every gallon. And what that does is that actually physically removes the contaminants from the water. The micron, charcoal, and carbon will make the water sanitary to drink. Okay, but you still have the stuff in it. RO is one of the best filtration systems out there. Alkaline water is after the RO system, and it puts minerals back into the water. So after taking everything out of the water, we put back the minerals that your body needs. We put back magnesium, calcium, and potassium. These are high pH. It helps to neutralize the acids. When you're in a stressful situation, you're going to be very acidic, and drinking alkaline water is going to help to calm you down, keep you healthier. I owned a water store in Las Vegas, and I, in a nutshell, put the whole store in here. And I was actually, and I still might actually start a new water store in Las Vegas, just using this system. And
Because there's other water stores that have been doing that. I've seen them use your system for their stuff.
yeah, I mean, there's so many implications that this could be used for. And like I say, the dome was another one. This provides pressurized water inside this dome. He can also run TVs. It's upgradable to whatever you need it to be, because you can put a battery bank of 10 batteries on there. You can put additional solar panels on there. You basically build it to what you need it. And the system is made with quick connects. I could take that and have that wheeled out in less than a minute. Okay, you throw it in the back of your truck. You have an off-grid location that's already pre-set up. You can have it hooked up in a minute, and you're set to go. So it's a system that's meant to be used every day at your house to purify water, to clean the water from the utilities. I run mine at my house in Vegas. I run all my tap water through it, through all the filters to take the chlorine out. Okay, Las Vegas has the worst water in the nation. We've been number 1 for ever since I've been there. And the chlorine, what they do is they chlorinate the water when it comes in, and then they go through the filtration, and then they chlorinate it when it comes out. And it's just, you guys are not bad at all here. I mean, in Vegas, it's so bad with the chlorine. It's terrible. Another example, I don't drink any water unless it goes through a filter. For the simple reason, there's over 60,000 different contaminants in the utility water right now that they can test for. You're talking pharmaceuticals, chemicals, and all this. The utilities test for 91. So 60,000 to 91. That's why with your reverse osmosis, the reason they don't do it for the utilities is too expensive. So what do? They put chlorine in the water. Why? It's the cheapest way to make sure it doesn't kill you. I've had water utility people coming by in the water at my water store, and I'm like, well, what's up? What's up with the water? They say the water's so bad that if we don't chlorinate it so much, it'll kill you. I mean, it's that critical. And this is from a public utilities. Now, if the grid goes down, my main concept for building this was if we lose power in Las Vegas, we have no water. Okay, there's 2 million people in Las Vegas. How many days do you think it's going to be until chaos? 4 hours. So I made the system to be self-sufficient. It runs off solar. We have a little bit of sun in Vegas. You guys have some here too, right? A little bit of sun. I wanted to be dependent from the grid. And I looked at a water source that Vegas has. It's called swimming pools. There's something like 55,000 pools in Las Vegas. Each pool, what, 10 to 15,000 gallons? So this system was originally made with the concept of taking that water and making it drinkable. As I progressed through it, I've been working on this for a couple of years, I thought, you know what, this is kind of like a solar generator. You know, this thing makes more energy than is needed to pressurize the water. So I started to retrofit it to be able to take on more batteries, more solar, and we have an inverter in there now, and now you can run your TVs. When I used to do the Prepper Fest, I'd have a 32-inch TV, I'd have my security cameras going with the screen, I had aquaponics in the background, and then I was making water in front, off-grid. So I'm sitting there for 9 hours, not plugged in, okay? Then I had the Go Zero guy come up to me. He was like 2 or 3 down from me. He comes up to me, looks around, he says, my system can power all this. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, mine can too. It's doing it right now. I go, and I'm making water. I never seen him again. But, you know, I'm all about proving it. I mean, this is what it's meant for. I've been using mine in my house for a year now. And we had a cold snap in Vegas, like 5 days below zero, or below 32. So I had to disconnect it because it's outside. And you really don't want this in the cold. It's going to freeze and cause a lot of damage. So I disconnected it for like 5 days and went back on the city water. And the chlorine, my eyes, my skin, and you kind of get accustomed to the luxuries of not having all that chlorine. You go back to it, it just hits you. So I was glad to get back into it. This system provides comfort when comfort is gone. Because when you lose power, you're going to lose comfort. This is going to save your life because it's going to make undrinkable water safe to drink. Number one thing, it addresses 3 things. Purified clean water to drink, pressurized water, which people don't think about the pressurized water. I bet you all use pressurized water today, right? Shower, flush your toilets. This system allows you to actually draw out of your swimming pool or water reserve of what you have and backfeed it into your garden hose in your house. And it will pressurize your house again. So now you don't have any electricity or any water coming to your house. This system will provide that pressure back to your house. Now you can flush your toilets, take a shower. I have a hot water solar heater in the backyard, 55-gallon drum buried into the ground. So I always tell people if Vegas ever loses power and has no running water, I'll be the only guy taking a hot shower because I'll have pressure and I'll have power. So I made it, and it just kept growing and growing. I've gotten it down to a stage where I can look at it and say, I don't know what else I can do with it. It's something that's going to only grow. The attachments that can go into it. I have about 5 other inventions that I'm kind of waiting till this gets its own wheels, and so I can start doing the invention. I'm an inventor. I'm not really a
What we're going to do
sell guy.
is, as we end this up, Frank's breathing down my neck, we'll go ahead and take and put this up here, turn this stuff off, so you guys can come up and touch and feel. I want you guys to be able to do this, and this is why. The reason this is so big is because he has 3 lead acid batteries in here. Big marine batteries you can put in. We have 1 in there now. We have 2, whatever. But you don't need that many. But this, just the handle pops out and wheels, and we take it up to Jackalope Freedom Festival, dry camping up in, on the rim, and all of a sudden everybody, that's where they're charging their batteries. Well, what's the next thing? This year we're taking the dome and it's going to be a shower, okay? Because you have pressurized water. You can have hot water bladders. You can do all kinds of stuff. This is the filtered one that does pressure, okay? This one just does pump, like you throw it into your pond and your irrigating your trees or whatever you don't need to have it filtered. It comes out RO here, alkaline here. There's 2 lines that come out here. This is the wastewater as it does, just going back into the thing. This goes over, you know, on your sink where you have that little, you know, your filtered water little faucet thing. This is what feeds that into my sink. So we got the hose there. I just haven't got the little fixture yet. I get that. I got filtered the best water you can get in my dome. Okay. I have filtered water that I can do, or regular rinse water. So what he did is he put 1 on the filtered and 1 on the unfiltered, right? So I got, you know, I put it on like the hot. I'm just going, shh, just rinsing stuff off. I put it over to the filtered. Now I got filtered, and I got reverse osmosis and alkaline water in my dome, totally off-grid. I'm living off-grid, not later. Right now, I'm off-grid, okay? So it had pressure. Now this was an additional pump on the back here. He put another one in. That's why we kept this one instead of going, because it has this additional pump. Because I was doing, you know, the airlift we're gonna do and kind of, we're still doing that for the vertical. But this is more water from here that I can put into, goes to the top of the dome and feeds all my vertical ones that hang too, okay? So this whole system, the only reason it's this big is for those 3 car batteries that are in there, marine batteries. You take that battery out, this exact system is that big. But he still has a little battery in there. This panel here, this is on the top, like the one that's on top here, that's only just keep it trickle charge, you know, it's always got full charge, it's kind of got charge, it's not that much charge. On the back of it, you'll see here, there are battery connections that those big solar panels that roll out I got on the dome, they just plug in. Blip, 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 done. This is what we've been waiting for. Now the thing is that they have a lot of these different components, he just put them all together. Another one, he has one he showed me, he has a crank. You can put it on a bicycle. You can crank it if you got no wind, sun, whatever, you still can make power. You can still charge. You know, this is the kind of stuff that he's doing and taking this, and I am shocked he's not a gazillionaire by now. But it's starting to get there. Why isn't he? Because he's in Las Vegas and Phoenix, and we don't have tornadoes, tsunamis, hurricanes, and freaking volcanoes, okay? But in Southern California, they do. So all of a sudden, his bestest buddies are California guys, and they're saying, hey, man, where you been? And he goes, I don't know what the problem is. It's because Phoenix and Las Vegas haven't had disasters yet. That's the only reason. But what's our big hang-up? Water. So that's why this is, I think, has got a future, and I want to go ahead and have him put this up, and you guys kind of do touchy-feely while Frank does his thing. And I'll go ahead and ask him any question you have while I get this down.
See, I've got a saltwater pool that takes the salt out.
I'll run it through salt water, with the
Or just
saltwater
plug it
pool.
underneath.
It'll run about a gallon an hour of that salt water. It's so thick. And it takes it down from 2,500 parts per million down to like 120. Okay? And I've tasted it, tastes fine. We haven't had a test yet, but we're going to actually test it. But reverse osmosis is used for desalination. The system was made for fluorinated, but it does seem to work for the salt. It's just not as much. Okay?
You talked about what happens if you don't have the pressurized water.
Yeah.
Beyond the swimming pool, where would you get water from?
I have 4 IBC tanks in my backyard. I don't have a pool. So I have 4 IBC tanks of 275 gallons apiece, so that's 1,100 gallons. That's what I use.
Okay, how would you replenish that?
Well, the way I have it set up is I have it on full, so as I use that, that goes down, it fills back up, so they're full. So the event happens, I got 1,100 gallons. You know, I just made it all automatic. The 55-gallon drum that's in the back of my yard, I only have like 35 feet. I mean, it's a small backyard. I got 3 grow beds, I got 2 greenhouses, the solar panel, and the hot water heater in the back. And that's 55 gallons, and I have that going through the system, getting pressurized. Side of the garage, drilled a hole through there, went into my hot water heater, capped it off, and now I got 40 gallons there. You know, so I think total I have like 1,800 gallons.
Right, but if you're talking about it.
Yeah, wait for it to rain. You go, what, I mean,
Well,
you
you
know,
guys
get
don't
over
have to
it.
worry. Just put rain catchments out here. You guys are raining all the time.
No, it does not create water out of the air.
No, and that's what I'm trying to get at is, if the utility goes down and you're no longer getting pressurized water coming in from the city.
Yep.
Or whatever
You have to have a water source.
Then how do you replenish without that?
Well, actually, I have a neighbor 2 down that has a pool. I have a neighbor across the street that has a pool, and I'm going to be the water guy again, is what I'm thinking, and I'm going to be the hero. Because I'm going to go there and flush their toilets and make them some drinking water, and they're going to give me 50 gallons maybe, if they don't shoot me.
To answer your question, we have, Donna and I have accumulated the boat trailers, okay? We have boat, we're doing a micro house or something like that. And we take and we do, all right, so what are we gonna do? Okay, well, I'd like to just make it a power station. So where's the water? Wherever the hell I go get it? I mean, you know, I show up at the pond of Davis and I show up at your bug out you got and I take that blue hose and I throw it in your swamp. What the hell? I got water. Where do you get the water? I don't know. Ask God, man. man, you know? So the thing is that, the point is that it's not getting water, it's potable water, you know? It's making it where you can drink it.
And these pumps are self-priming, so you can run it down to a stream or run it down to a lake or a pool. My whole intention was, I don't have a pool, I have a truck with the 55-gallon drum, and that thing that's really quiet, and I can drive up there at midnight and go, and get 55 gallons before they knew anything happened. I got him first.
Well, just out of curiosity, is Nevada one of those states like Colorado where property owners don't really own the rainfall on their property? If the authorities think you're capturing too much left,
And Denver County is like that, yes.
Yeah, I have no idea what Vegas is like, but we have Lake Mead that's 30 miles away. But we do have a lot of ponds. We have a lot of recreational park ponds and so forth. And this will take that water from 2,500 down to 0.00.
You mentioned Lake Mead. Lake Mead could be gone literally in a few years.
Exactly. And the biggest thing is, I think, if an event happens, we lose power, I just got to survive for a couple weeks. Most of the people are going to be on buses going to little camps. They're going to be out of pools. So, as long as I got the containers.
How much does the system like that cost?
This system through Ernie's site, this one with everything on it is $24.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions. First of all, you said it's made to use continuously. What if I want to keep it as an emergency backup? Could I have it hooked up to a trickle charger?
Yep.
Make sure the batteries are charged? And what's the capacity and what type of battery do you have in the central pump?
This one is a 35 amp hour deep cell solar battery. You can actually fit 2 of them in there, so you have 70 amp hour. I usually don't even put a battery in here. I just have a battery bank, and it's just like that. You connect it to your battery bank. You don't charge that 10 batteries or whatever. I have 2 200-watt panels going into the system, and it takes care of it. You build it to what you want.
How much would something like that weigh?
With batteries?
With batteries.
It's like 95 pounds.
I've got an RV, and I'm looking for an emergency water backup system.
Yeah.
For it. And something like that with possibly the solar panels and that, and wherever I went, I could have.
Yep. I have a truck with the little topper.
Yeah.
I actually have it connected to the battery in my engine, deep cell batteries there. That runs to a system without a battery. And I have a 200-watt panel on my truck, and so during the day, it charges all my batteries, so they're always topped off. And then when I'm driving at night, the alternator charges everything. And the system regulates all that. It regulates what's coming in here and going out there. So it keeps everything at like 14.1. I mean, they're just topped off. And, it's in the back of the truck. And I actually have extra cord. You can take this thing out, run the water, get a 55-gallon drum or whatever. This is my bug out truck.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Man, plug in.
What would be let's suppose that you're using this for all your water, what would be the annual cost of maintaining the filters?
There's 4 filters. Okay, you got a micron, you got a charcoal, you got a reverse osmosis, and you got an alkaline. The charcoal and micron, the micron's the first one. That's your 7. That gets all anything that's bigger than a 1 micron. It's pretty clean. The charcoal deals with the bacteria and so forth that actually traps these particles. Those are the 2 you're going to be changing out the most. And the system has see-through canisters. Everybody said, well, how long is it going to last? I always say it all depends on what kind of water you put through it. If you're running utility water through your public utilities, it's going to last you for months. But you have a visual and you can look and see. And the micron you're going to use about 2 or 3 of those for every charcoal one. The micron ones are about $1.50 a piece. The charcoal are like $5. So in a year, you're probably talking $20. And that's running it. I run it all the time. All my water runs through it.
See, keep in mind, Steve owned the water store.
Yeah.
This is what he did.
And the reverse osmosis filter, the more you use it, the cleaner it stays. I had the store for 2.5 years, never changed the RO filter. Because the more you use them, the cleaner the water is. So when you start it up during the day and you check your parts per million and stuff like this, it'll be higher. As you use it, it goes down.
So this is not a seriously expensive proposition.
No, the cost for you to have a water treatment to get that little thing just under the itty water coming out of that little faucet on your sink is how much this whole thing cost. And it does the same thing. It's the same equipment. That's my point.
It doesn't do the same thing. This makes alkaline water, but it's better than the $5,000 machines. Because I've proven that. In my store, I would encourage people to bring their water to me, and I would actually test it. These people buy these $5,000 Kagan machines or whatever like this, and it does this. Bring the water in. Let's test it with my water. And this is smoking, because this actually cleans the water and then just puts back what you need in the water. The other machines don't clean the water, so you're actually getting tap water. We would start out at 500 parts per million, run it through their machine, and now it's 750 parts per million. And it doesn't look like it took anything out. My machine, we put it through there, and we get our end product of 10 pH with -250, -400. Okay, this is ORP, is negatively charged water, so it's supposed to attract and the free radicals out of your body and stuff, neutralize your body so it can flush it up. And mine's at 0.035. There's at 750. So, right there, it's nothing like the other machines. It's better.
See, the other thing is that I have a lot of these guys come on. In fact, even from the Prepper Fest, there are guys in third world countries doing all kinds of different stuff. My problem is, I'll give you a perfect example. Gary Gannon inverter right here have X amount of gazillion solar panels on their roof. Their electric bill is what, nothing a month or something?
Yeah, they raised it.
What's it at now?
We're up to about 40.
Bastards, okay? $40 a month they pay for their electric bill. Oh darn, okay? Well, one thing that they don't tell you is when the power goes out, he can't use the power. He's dead, just like everybody else. Why? Because they don't want his solar thing charging the grid, blowing, guys doing, they're getting wasted. Now, of course, you can just flip it off. Oh, you lose a subsidy, and stroke dash, you can't be autonomous, and we're just, and if the APSs get a percentage of alternate fuel, electricity that they qualify for the subsidy, the tax break, it's just bullshit, okay? So the thing is that I'm going, why is it that I can't have the solar on my home, and I have a unit that is the inverter, the whole thing in one package, so when I bug out or I leave, I go camping, I just take it with me. Unplug it, plug it into the battery thing in my RV, the battery thing in the back of my car, the battery thing I got over here, bring it back, plug it back into the house, and everything is here. Why can't I do that? You can. They just don't. Why? Because of the subsidies and the way the contracts are. Government stroke congressman bullshit that Mike's trying to fix. Okay? How's that working out? So this is a standard, because just the inverters and stuff and everything to be able to do that on here is here. How much does that cost? How much does it cost for your filtration system that you get in the guide in the thousands and thousands? With all the stuff that this does, this is a fraction of what all that together is. You see my point? Why do you think I'm yelling at him? I'm going, seriously? You don't understand what the value of this is, and it's going to go. So now's the time. What we're going to go ahead and do is we need to, Frank's got to do some business. I want you guys to come up and take a look at this, have him examine it, show you what each one of these do and how it works, and how simple this is to just plug in. It is a plug. And this, in the bottom of, Gary's $1 super bus that he has, I would think he has a space for this,
That's what I'm thinking.
But keep in mind, a lot of you people go, yeah, but what about the water? Where are you going to get manufactured water? I understand. You are right. You got to have a water source.
At some point, you have to have a source.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of times it's rain gutters and buckets and what he did. I mean, he just put a bunch out there. So, yeah, you got to have a water source. A lot of times, that's not the problem. I got a pond with tilapia sitting there, but I ain't drinking their poop water, without this, but I have with this. That's what I'm drinking. It's going into my thing. I'm just rinsing off vegetables live on my show. I win. Okay? So this is, at Prepper Fest, we'll have this. Chad with the Endless Food Systems, he couldn't make it today, or he's been giving you some stuff on that too. But, and then Mike, we're doing it. We're not talking about it. But it should be done. We're doing it. And everybody going, well, but what about, can you do it? Can you do it? Yes, you can do it. So do it. Or don't do it. I don't care. But don't be mad somebody's doing it. You see my point? Now, Frank, go ahead. Oh, I want to show this real quick. This is a Goal Zero. I've had this for years. This is the inverter. This is the battery pack. All it is just AA batteries, okay, rechargeable batteries. So this right here is all of this in a little backpack, and you carry this on your backpack when you're going hiking and everything, and you're charging all the time, all right? So this connects into your cell phone and so on. Don and I go on trips for years when we go across country. This sits in the dash up like this, and I got my phone charged into it, my laptop, and all that kind of stuff. These are flexible panels. We have the ones that he has roll up into a roll about this big and about this high, and that's, you know, with this and that, and you're up to a few hundred watts or something. I mean, you know, we're a couple hundred at least. So I'm just going, this is not technology that's going to come. It's already here.
You mentioned an inverter in that pack. Does that mean you can get some AC out of it
Yeah.
instead of just DC?
That plugs right in here, and it has like a cigarette lighter thing. You know, and I just plug right in there. It has a USB on this end right there that plugs in, you know, for phones and stuff like that. This, I've been using this for years.
But could it actually run a small AC appliance or something larger than an AC appliance?
Well, you get big. They have bigger ones. I mean, I just got this for phones, you know. But no, you can get it this big, you know. So that's why Goal Zero comes up and he goes, "Hey man, we got a unit that can do that." He goes, "Yeah, purify water." And pressurized. See, we got to emphasize this pressurized thinking. You got purified Berkey filter, drip, 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 and now I got a pitcher of water. Well, that's not the same as taking a shower.
Did you do that again?
No, you think I'm kidding. The Jackalope Freedom Festival last summer, Donna and I are up there, and it's cold, and we get in, and she's all shower, shower, shower. Everybody's like shower. We were heating water. She's taking a shower, me pouring a pitcher on her. I'm the shower.
I'd like to see that.
I know, I was just kidding. I like that. You know, it's all kind of, you know, it was kidding. So anyway, so as I'm doing this, you know, here, what am I thinking? If I'd had a shower place, if we do this, but you need a water source, what do? We bring up one, because the first year we did bring up a big barrel of water. So we got the water there. What does it do? You just keep showering. You starting to see how civilization comes with you? When you got somebody like Steve that had a water store and saw what he could do, and he did it, in my opinion. Thank you, Steve.
Okay. First chance for a buck. The books are back there on the little table by the cameras. And if you have ticket number 7747. 7747. Is that yours? 7747. Did we get one? We'll try another one. 7762. There you go, back to foot.
All right.
We'll try another one here. Okay. I guess the right direction to read. 7755. 7755. Second chance for books is back in. Okay, we'll do one more here. I don't know. We can't let Ernie down. Yeah, he cheated. He cheated, you know.
He wins.
Okay. 7760. 7760. Can't get a winner on that one? All right. This man will draw a winner here. 7749. 7749, there you go, whatever's left on the table. We had fun today, and if you can remember everything he said about Bitcoin, you're doing a lot better than I did.
Let me know.
We need you to go some more maybe next time, Ernie. Get a review.